If you've been putting off early retirement because of healthcare, you're going to want to hear this. I just retired at the age of 50, and healthcare was my biggest concern. I have 15 more years before I can qualify for Medicare, so I have to figure out how to cover that significant cost. And it's definitely a valid concern and a reason for many people to not retire early. But what if I was to tell you there's another way? It may not be for everybody, and you need to do your own research. I'm not here to give you advice on what to do with your own personal situation, but I'm going to share with you what I decided to do, and I'll share with you some of the costs and the different options that I was considering. I hope this information is helpful. I considered 4 main options. First was keeping my existing insurance through COBRA continuation coverage. Second, I looked at the ACA Marketplace, also known as ObamaCare. Third, I considered self-insuring using my health savings account and a supplemental catastrophic injury policy. And fourth, I looked at some other options that are in the crowdsourcing realm. Those are not insurance, but they have some benefits, but also come with some different risks. Let me share some of the pros and cons and costs of each, and then I'll explain why I chose what I chose. COBRA continuation coverage has significant benefits, like you can stay on the same insurance plan and keep the same medical providers. The main drawbacks for COBRA are the cost as well as the time limitations that are imposed. I think the most you can ever be on COBRA is about 1.5 years. So at best, COBRA would have been a temporary solution for me anyway. The ACA Marketplace or ObamaCare could be a very good option for someone if they can qualify for the subsidies. I may be able to do that in future years, and I will look at that, but right now my modified adjusted gross income would be too high, so I would have to pay full price, and that's actually even more expensive than COBRA. But in future years, I might be able to lower the income level that they measure to qualify for the subsidies by living off of funds from my brokerage account, as an example. So I'm going to definitely look at that when the time comes. The third option would be to self-insure using funds from my health savings account to cover medical expenses, and then supplementing that with high deductible catastrophic injury policies to cover major health events. This is probably the option I would have chosen if I hadn't discovered the next one, which is not insurance at all. It's called crowdsourcing. And the company or the community I've decided to join is called CrowdHealth. So let me briefly explain what it costs and how it works. And then I'll share with you the costs of the other options as well so you can compare. So I went with their original plan, which I think is the best one. It comes with some great benefits. I pay a $60 monthly fee, and then on top of that, I have a $140 maximum contribution. What that means is when someone in the community submits a medical expense for reimbursement, I may be requested to contribute up to $140 for that request. But it's a variable expense based on the needs of the community, and the average request over the past several months has been $89, I believe. So my overall cost would probably be closer to $150 per month, but no more than $200. And then if I need medical reimbursement, I would be responsible for the first $500 of my expenses, which is normally called a deductible, but because this is not insurance, they can't call it that, so it's called a contribution. And then on top of that, I received a promo code, so my maximum contribution for the first 3 months is only $39, plus that $60 fee, so my monthly expense will be no more than $99 for the first 3 months. And by the way, if any of you are considering this option and it's right for you, feel free to use my code FR33 to get the same discount at checkout. I'll put that information in the description. That would give me a referral credit if you stay for 3 months, but again, I'm not trying to push this on anyone. I'm just sharing information that I found useful, and I hope it's useful to you too. And if anyone watching this is familiar with CrowdHealth or has experience with them, please leave a comment below and let us know your thoughts. I'd love to hear both positive and negative experiences that people have had. I mean, part of me thinks this might be too good to be true. This is not insurance, and so there's no legal obligation for them to cover your medical expenses after you submit them. So the obvious question is, what if I have major medical expenses and then they refuse to pay? I think that's a very valid concern and one I still have, but I also think the obvious additional question is, what if your insurance company decides that you don't qualify for coverage and they decide not to pay because of some exclusion or policy limitation or other fine print? When you look at it statistically, I've heard that traditional insurance companies deny 1 in 5 claims, or about 20%. I can't stand by that data. I don't know where it came from, but it does track with my perception of the insurance industry. On the flip side, CrowdHealth has a 99% payout rate, or at least that's what they claim on their website. And they also aim to be fully transparent on their website by showing high-level descriptions of all of the claims paid and those that are denied and the reasons for those denials. So I'm cautiously optimistic about this. They have other benefits as well. I believe they offer unlimited free telehealth visits so you can get prescriptions and other medical advice. And they offer free therapy online as well. And then they have a yearly $300 credit for a wellness checkup, which coincidentally I'm going to use this month because I need to get a major detailed physical for my captain's license that I'm applying for. So I'll go get that physical, I will pay for it, and then I'll submit it to the crowd for reimbursement. And that one, you don't need to pay the $500 deductible. That's just a free $300. So comparing the cost of this option versus the others, to me, it seems like a no-brainer. Now keep in mind, this caters to healthy people who don't use insurance very often. I fit into that category because I'm healthy and I rarely use health insurance. When I had health insurance with my previous employer, I didn't use them at all until the month or two before retirement, and I only did so to get some checkups just to make sure that I'm still healthy. So yeah, for me, this option seems like a no-brainer. CrowdHealth is going to cost me a maximum of $200 a month, $99 a month for the first 3 months because of the promotional code that I have, and then I'd have to pay the first $500 of any medical event. By comparison, if I were to keep my old insurance through COBRA continuation coverage, I was quoted $941 per month, and I'd still have the deductibles on top of that. And then I looked at the ACA Marketplace plan, which you can do on healthcare.gov. You just put in your zip code and your income, and it will estimate how much the various plans would cost you. The cheapest possible plan was over $600 a month, and from what I hear, it's not very good. If I were to get their premium plan, it was over $1,300 a month. Again, that's paying full price. If I were to qualify for subsidies, it would be much cheaper and it might be the best option. To be honest, I didn't explore the self-insure option very closely because, frankly, I don't have enough in my health savings account to be comfortable relying on that for all of my medical expenses. And with this option, although I would have catastrophic insurance coverage, I wouldn't have any coverage for medical events as they happened. So yeah, with CrowdHealth, it's not insurance, but I think they have a track record. It's only 5 years, but I'm taking a risk on that. I plan to reassess all of this at the end of the year and then probably at the end of next year as well, because if I can get my income low enough to qualify for the ACA Marketplace, maybe I'd switch over to that. Who knows? Maybe I'll just stay with CrowdHealth anyway. I really like what I've seen so far. Their values are consistent with mine. They support self-sovereignty and getting out of a corrupt medical system, so I'm good with that. And that's what I'm going to do for now. Let me know in the comments below what you think.